Hey guys, you're listening to episode 13 of the Creative Talk podcast. And today we have two guests. We have Austin Webster, who you may remember from a later episode that we did on his film Supper. And we also have Steven Weber, a friend of his who also graduated from Ball State, and they both moved out to LA together. And we wanted to touch base with them and see how has it been, how are things going, and what advice do they have for other people in the industry who might be moving from one location to LA. Why did you guys go to LA? What's even there? What is in LA?
West Coast living.
West Coast living, baby. I remember like the big moment, at least for me, where I was like, I can't be anywhere like where it's cold, like Midwest or even like New York or something again, was back in January. I was heading to the gym at like 6 a.m. and I just take one step down like the stairs at our apartment and I step right in a bunch of snow and like falls in my shoes. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. This is absolutely not. I cannot deal with the snow. I can't deal with that. And then it just kind of snowballed from there of like, I know all these people in LA who have been messaging me for like months already of just like, oh, you should come out here. You should at least visit. You should try it or whatever. You know, we got all these gigs. You'd love it here, blah, 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 blah. And that's what started like, you know, getting me thinking, yeah, maybe that's the move, especially if, you know, how much is out here for, you know, it really is the, you know, home of film and television production.
Yeah. And for me, it was a little different. It was on like a personal level. I was working a pretty big, just corporate video job in Indianapolis for Lilly. And, you know, the coworkers I was working with were fantastic human beings, but I knew it was something that I wasn't going to enjoy and didn't really enjoy over a long period of time. And it was this, you know, coagulation of that. I'm actually from an hour north from here. So like I have family out here. If it was this family was out here, all my friends are moving out here. My job was my job in Indy. And I was like, this is kind of it for me. My big, you know, passion, which is sort of a newfound passion, is, you know, kind of going all over the place, you know, it's non-linearly here. For the first like 18 years of my life, I based everything around music and not film. I actually didn't care about film, had no interest in it at all. Never held a camera before in my life. Wow. And, you know, and so that, and then I went to Ball State, you know, did all the things, the photography, film, whatever. And then recently I was like, I want to get back into all the music stuff that I used to want to do. And I'm kind of like merging that and I'm trying to like, you know, score stuff. And that's what I'm doing now is like I scored a friend of ours documentary that he directed and I'm scoring some other just passion projects that we're all working on right now. And I know if I want to turn that into like a, you know, tangible career, that this would be the place to do it and not Indianapolis. I mean, I think I met one person who did some music stuff, but it was pretty, you know, barren. Like it was like he had this really awesome gig and then went months and months and months without doing anything. And this really awesome gig, you know what I mean? So it's like if you want the consistency of it, which I do.
Yeah. I think it's how it is around here in Indianapolis. It's like it's easy as like a generic videographer to keep consistent work, but when to niche it down and to specialize in something where people want something done.
Right.
A job done right with someone who does something specifically and specializes in something. Yeah. I can see where it's more easy to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really big realization for me, is because like I didn't thrive with freelance at all in Indianapolis, in Indiana. I never got weddings. I never got commercial work. I never got anything because I feel like there was always something I was missing. Or maybe I was too specialized in wanting to be in more narrative-driven storytelling and such. But it was somewhere I'm just like, I feel like they're in Indianapolis, at least my experience, you know, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it feels like there are a lot of like clicks and stuff, or there are very specific things you have to do when you're there. Unless you're already thriving and lucky enough to have, you know, great business doing video and doing a lot of freelance, or unless you know the right people that are able to make money off of, you know, making films there. You know, great companies like Pegasus Pictures or Think Tank Studios, Think Ahead Studios. You know, they're fantastic. They're thriving. They're doing a lot of great work out there, but because most of what that market's going to be looking for is very corporate, very commercial, you have to be involved in like those clicks And if you aren't, then you really are kind of like out of luck.
Yeah.
But also, you know, my strongest connections were already out here, and it really is the name of the game. And it's like the most cliche thing that everyone says. It's like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And, you know, of course, there's a healthy balance of both. But, you know, everyone I knew who was doing what I wanted to do was here and not in Indiana. So it's like, okay, well, how do I fix that?
Yeah. I was going to say, too, in terms of like there already being a bunch of people here that we knew that were living here and doing the thing. It was also like people we like the Get-ins came after us, and then people we still know in Indy are coming out here that we worked with, right? So it's like almost this like I call it the Exodus, the Ball State Exodus, and like it's like this, you know, like just, you know, melting pot of people on doing different stuff in the industry coming out here in the next 6 months. You know, like we're part of that group, I guess, that unintentionally, coincidentally, right? But it's kind of nice to have that, you know, and that you're not going to a big city alone, and that's like
I couldn't imagine doing that alone.
So
it makes it feel almost more like home, like as soon as you get out here too, because I mean, I was talking with my mom earlier today, and she's like, you know, she's like, I didn't expect you to not like it, but it's got to be better knowing that, you know, you have your friends out there. I was like, it does, because I was here. It's just like, it felt normal in a way. Like on Sunday, this past Sunday, had, you know, the wonderful opportunity to work again. Amy and I and our friends Max Harp and Quinn Basnaw, we got to go meet up with two of our other friends from Ball State, two super talented DOPs, Selena Webb and Ben Thatcher. And, you know, because Selena's thinking about purchasing a V-Raptor, and, you know, it's an unreleased red camera, and she got her hands on it like for a rental to be able to test it out. And we just got to like show up, and we looked around. We're like, the only people here that aren't from Ball State are the Steadicam operator and the two talents. Everyone else is, you know, Ball State alum, and it just feels normal. Like being back on a set feels normal, but being surrounded by people that you are familiar with, like it just helps. It just feels right. But having that support, whether it comes to, you know, work, of knowing someone who will be like, oh, I'll pass you this gig if I can't take it, or knowing just someone that you can just play video games with on like Thursday or whatever because you're bored. Just really helps.
So it seems like you guys are a lot happier that LA is working out better than what New York probably would have if you guys moved out there. Was that like 2 years ago?
That was the start of we were about to go in March of 2020. We had quit our jobs and everything, and then March 16th they were like, we're gonna work from home and we don't know when we'll be back. And, you know, fast forward all this time, and so we asked for our jobs back, and gratefully, you know, they took us back our respective jobs. But we were gearing up to go, and like I think the opportunity for work is more out here, you know, definitely more so than New York. But, you know, and I also think for the pandemic stuff, I feel safer here than in New York, where it's like very tight knit, close quarters, living in a closet with someone. Whereas like here we have, you know, it's just like space because everything is just spread out. You know, it's easier to be COVID safe here. Granted, there's, you know, a lot of people here, and it was a hot spot for a while.
So
just
the culture of this
New
city
York,
is
I feel like
better than New York.
It's easier to be safe here,
I guess.
I think so. I mean, I definitely still think about, you know, what if we moved to New York all the time? And, you know, I'm not ruling out going there before I'm 30 or something. I don't know. I can forget about industry or forget about work. It's something that I did want to do for years, and I would like to do it again, or try doing it again at some point. But, you know, for now, this was the move, and, you know, we're just kind of doing it. The weather's great out here. It's so much, except it fucking rained all day yesterday. Like even the dude, Amy and I, or was it you and I or Amy and I that ran into the guy who has the Hennessy dog, the dog.
Oh yeah.
He was like, this never happens. It was like hammering down rain. He comes in, his glasses are all wet, and he's like, this never happens, man.
It was hilarious to me because like I'm heading to I was heading to work yesterday, and I'm fortunate enough to say that I work in Venice Beach part-time, just doing like some live stream like yoga classes and everything.
It's a long commute.
Sometimes it's a long commute, but it's, you know, I'm driving and it's like pouring down rain, and it's the only time I've seen like LA drivers go slow, because they're like, there's a little bit of rain. I'm just like,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is 465 on like a
Yeah.
Tuesday. This
Yeah.
is nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm booking at 75. I'm like, there's no one on the road because no one wants to drive in the rain. I'm just like zooming down the 101, loving it. I get to work and everyone's like, what's
Oh
going
my
on?
gosh.
It's freezing. Like they're in winter coats. They're like, it's pouring
It's
down
just
rain.
rain here
And
all
I'm just in
week.
shorts and a sweater. Just
Yeah.
like,
All
week it's
this
been
is
raining
this
here.
is normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We brought it
We'll
with
take
us.
the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could use it here water wise.
So, Steven,
guess,
you said
yeah.
you had
Yeah.
family up there, an hour north
Yeah.
from LA. So, are you from LA?
Yeah.
or-
Yeah. So I was born in Lancaster, which is like an hour north of here. It's on the other side of the hills. It's
not
not
nice.
nice. It's the middle of nowhere, the desert. I mean, it's a small town. It's, not like, your little house on the prairie or whatever, but it is a little like, definitely, it's not like, I don't necessarily consider it like LA. We would come down to the city when I was a kid, just on occasion, like a weekend trip, because it's an hour away. Like, it's the thing. It'd be like, honestly, forget about traffic or whatever. Like Indianapolis has all of its suburbs or whatever. I would say it'd be like
Okay.
Kokomo to Indianapolis. So like a bit of maybe not that long, but maybe like somewhere in that middle ground. Not quite
Yeah.
like Carmel or Fishers to
Little
Indianapolis, but like a little further up. You know what I mean? Like it'd be like a weekend thing that you wouldn't go during the week. But yes, I have a lot of family out here. I do have some family in Pasadena, which is like 20 minutes from us, so which is really nice. And that was a big, like incentive to also, switch from New York to here when we were deciding on moving. So everyone's close by, within an hour and a half, range, at least for me and my personal bias having family, right? They're all here. So except for, of course, my mom and my brother actually just moved from Indiana to Miami. Whole separate, we're all over the place. It's like everybody's all over the place. But yeah, so, it's nice to have that here too. Cousins, nieces, well, I guess they're not really nieces, nephews, cousins, children. I call them my nieces and nephews. They're all here. My uncles, my aunts, my cousins, they're all.
So, why did you come out to
within arm's
Indiana?
length, so,
Did you come out here for Ball State?
Oh, so, oh no, wait, hang on. I think they got cut off.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, they froze. Hang on a second.
Can you hear me?
Okay, we're good.
We good? We're frozen. That's weird.
Yeah, we've been frozen for a few minutes or whatever.
LA, baby.
That's LA, baby.
This is LA
You guys
Wi-Fi.
are fine on our end, or at least my end. So.
Okay, so.
Mhm.
So sorry, you said you were asking me about why do we come to Indiana originally? Oh, okay. So growing up, we moved around like a lot growing up because mainly my dad's job. I was born in California. I can actually go through the entire thing. I think that'd be a funny little bit. We born in California, moved to Portland, Oregon, then back to California, then to Tucson, Arizona, then back to California, then to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Damn it, lost network connection. Oh man, I wasn't even halfway there.
Let me refresh. Oh
Can you
my
see
god.
us or hear us? Yeah.
This is.
Oh really?
Yeah.
We can't see you.
We can't see. We were getting like
there
an
they went.
error.
Yeah.
We can hear you a little,
All right.
but like
Now
it's
we
getting
can.
okay.
Motherfucker.
We're having. Oh. Wait a second. They're back.
There we
Okay,
go.
okay.
There we go.
Okay, we're back. We obviously work in the film industry.
Hey, this
knowing
is a
how
little
weird
different.
This technology
It's a little different.
Weird.
going right
I don't know
now.
what's going on too because we're like really close to the.
Yeah, the router is like right,
there.
like on the other side of my room.
So I don't know what's going on. That's weird.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll start over. So now, because I don't remember where I left off. Born in California, moved to Portland, Oregon, back to California, Arizona, Tucson, Arizona, back to California, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Savannah, Georgia, back to Arizona, and then to Indiana. And then we were in Indiana for all of my high school, most of my high school and all of college. And then now we're here. So,
Wow.
moving
Yeah.
is like,
Yeah.
that's just what I'm used to. So this was to me it was definitely the most stressful move because it's the biggest move of my adult life. But it was just another move in the trenches of my brain. It was like, yeah, we've done this before. So yeah, kind of craziness. So it was again, parent job stuff, whatever, kind of brought us to Indiana, and then we just kind of settled here for a while. Now that my mom and my brother down in Florida, I had one brother still in Indiana, but he's probably going to go to Florida. at one point.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is
And
now
you guys
this is
are
the
all
time,
over the
right?
place.
So yeah.
So do you prefer
So-
LA
It's
out of all
crazy.
those places? Sorry,
So, like-
James.
Oh no, you're fine.
Oh yeah, I mean, so far, I mean, like being in LA as an adult is
Yeah.
way different than being in this area as a kid because now I have like independence and I'm like, oh crap, where do I go? What do I do? What do I see? You know, so you know, I'm honestly like, you know, we've been here for what, like 2.5 weeks now, and I think, you know, I've talked to some people and I mean, everyone says it's going to take you months to feel settled here, both on like job level
Yeah.
and on like a
Yeah.
psychological, like, oh, I live in LA now sort of level. So I'm still in that. I'm personally still in that phase of like, oh, I don't live here. You know, like I have my bedroom, my bed's all set up,
Yeah.
I have all my stuff, and I'm like, I don't live here. You know, it's like a weird, like, I mean, but then there were the half moments where I'm just like kicking it back on the couch, and I'm like, yeah, this is nice.
I kind of live
This is
here.
cool. So I don't know, like it's just like that. But I you know, as far as the places I preferred, I mean, New Mexico's beautiful. I thought that was cool that we lived there for a little bit. Albuquerque, New Mexico's gorgeous. You know, I don't really have a preference of any of those places. I really don't want to go back to the South. But I you know, being out here is cool. And you know, it's just it's a nice change of pace, I guess, is kind of what I'm looking at it as.
Yeah, and so backtracking just a little bit, I know that
Sure.
Austin, I know you drove out, and then Steven, you flew out. So how was both your guys' experiences with that?
You go first. It's shorter.
Oh, it was awesome. It took like not that much time at all. So it was no. So you know, like I had mentioned, just to be kind of, you know, blunt about it, like I had a big corporate job that paid pretty well and was saving up for years to do this move. I knew I wasn't going to be there forever, so I thought, in the most not cruel way, I was like, I'm going to milk them for as much money
that was
as
what I was
can.
going to ask. Is
Save it,
how
save it,
long
save it,
was
save
it
it,
from
save
when
it.
you guys decided to
So-
when you actually made this move?
2018 is when we decided we wanted to move to New
Okay.
York. I remember.
Yep.
Yep. So almost 3 years. And so the 3 years to save, you know, is kind of like what it was. And, you know, when you're,
Mhm.
you just make a lot of money and you just do that. And I was like, I mean, I didn't act like I did. I was just like, oh, I had it set up to just go
Yeah.
into my LA fund without even looking at it. And now, you know, we're here. So that's why I was like, I'm going to ship my car and fly because I don't want to do the 30-hour drive. And I know a lot of people that I talked to got a little upset because like, it's a rite of passage to do this drive. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm not doing it. So our other roommate, Amy, also did not drive. She also flew out here. We flew separately on the same day because it was just different airlines and stuff. So you know, the flight was easy. This is gonna also like the voucher that I got.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know how this happened. So I was at the Indianapolis airport and they said, like, they called my name up to the desk, which has never happened in my life. Right? They're like, passenger Steven Weber, come up. And I was like, what? So I go up there and they're like, hey, another passenger needs this flight on like an urgent, like last minute notice. Would you be willing to volunteer your seat up? You would be compensated. And I was like, well, how much are we talking here? She's like, let me get back to you. So she's on the phone talking to people or whatever. And she's like, we can give you a flight voucher and we can get you to LA an hour sooner
What?
on a different
Wow.
like route and put you on like the priority boarding stuff. And I was like, oh yeah. It didn't end up helping, but it was nice that I did it. And also like I helped this other person that wanted to, you know, be on the flight. So they gave me this flight voucher, which basically paid for my flight home to see my mom for Christmas, which was really nice. So I flew in, I got there way early, but my checked bags were on the original plane that I had. So I had to wait for it. So I was sitting in the airport, just chilling, like waiting for
The
my
bags you
bags
just
from this other
loaded
plane.
up.
And our other
Yeah.
roommate, Amy, right, exactly. And so our other roommate Amy was flying in. She got in like an hour and a half after my new flight. But the day the day she and I got there, it was lightning and stormy here, and everybody was freaking out. Everybody was like, "This doesn't happen." So there were all these delays at the airport. Amy was stuck on the tarmac for like an hour. So like we were gonna meet up, and so I'm just waiting for a long time for my bags, and then I'm waiting for a long time for her to deboard the plane. So I'm literally just sitting in the baggage claim on a bench. It was like for hours. I was just like listening to podcasts on my phone, just against the wall. I was eating snacks and drinking water. I was like, I have one of my bags. I have nowhere else to go. I was like, I have to be here for the bags to get here. I can't leave. So that was a little annoying, but like we still didn't drive 30 hours. So
and you drove, Austin, right?
Yeah.
I've seen that. I've seen some posts about.
Yeah. So that was it was like so I guess to backtrack, like I didn't have a nice corporate
We start
job that
there.
didn't, like pay that much. Like I especially if trying to make Supper, a short
That's where
film
we
that
all-
you guys both worked on and everything. Paying for a short film all like pretty much out of pocket and stuff, and then going to like pandemic, and then we moved into a place in Carmel, and all other expenses and everything, and not being compensated probably like definitely not as much as I should have been did not help. But not to say that I still couldn't do it or whatever. It was just like I'm just going to have to do the drive because I have set up these expectations, and that's just one of the things that I just knew I would have to do. So what I ended up doing, I was working at Robert's Camera for the last 4 months that I was in Indy. And because I had quit my previous videographer job, and I because I wanted to work at Robert's, work at the camera store, get some more experience with cameras and such. And one thing I really fell in love with was Panasonic's full frame line, their S series. And I really fell in love with the S5 specifically because it was full frame video at the same sensor as the S1H. It just has a record limit, and then it still does stills on it. So I can get back into photography and stop motion, which is
That's where you
something I
started,
really
right?
love
You
or
started in stop
passionate
motion, didn't you? You
and I
started
ended
in
up
stop
actually-
motion, didn't you? I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I started stop motion with WWE action figures, Undertaker and Rey Mysterio, animating them. And so I actually sold my Pocket 4K because I'm like, this thing, I just have to rig it out for all these shoots and stuff. But also, I'm moving to LA. No one's going to rent a Pocket 4K. Like the first set I was on out here was an Alexa. I'm like, yeah, what was I thinking with like nothing against the Pocket 4K. I love it, but I'm like, it's not going to benefit me as much as it would like an Indians or so. So I need like a better personal camera that I can feel comfortable picking up and shooting. So I got the S5 and packed up my car, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna, since it's the Lumix like full frame series and it's just me by myself, I'm gonna totally rip off Bo Burnham and do like my own little like recording of myself. So I set up my tripod in my passenger seat with my camera there, and I would literally just be driving and like turning the tripod head to like get different angles and like zooming the lens, or I'd be on cruise control and I'd pop the lens off and switch another lens on real quick. Very not safe, and I do not recommend. But the first day, well, when I first left Indy, I went up to Six Flags in Chicago first to see my girlfriend Katie. She's performing there for like their Fright Fest stuff. So got to see her perform again. It was just fantastic. She did an amazing job. And then the next morning, first thing, 8 a.m., I'm like, I am booking it to Denver, Colorado. Because I had a buddy who, I watched wrestling with and stuff all the time in college and, even in Indy and stuff. And he had just moved to Denver, and he had extended the offer himself like a month prior. I was like, okay, I don't have to pay for a hotel in Denver. That's cool. So I wake up at 8 a.m. and I look, and it's 13 hours and 46 minutes from Aurora, Illinois to Denver, Colorado. It's like, okay, this is fine, whatever. We have family in Iowa, so I've driven through Iowa multiple times. This will be fine, whatever. So I had a bunch of podcasts ready to go. I purposely hadn't listened to one of my podcasts in like 6 months just so I could, have a bunch of episodes like backlogged. And I get in the car and I get through Iowa, and then I hit Nebraska, and that's when the pain started. Because like Nebraska is, I didn't know much about Nebraska and Kansas like growing up or like ever, other than like they're on top of each other. Nebraska is like one of the biggest wastes of spaces I think I've ever seen with my own eyes.
Yeah.
Because it was just a straight line. I literally went right through the state. It is just a straight line the entire time. And I was in Nebraska for probably about 8 hours.
I've driven through it.
Wow.
It's miserable.
Just 8 hours just going through Nebraska on the same road. There's some rest stops and stuff, but nothing changes about the scenery. The only thing that changes is every 15 minutes, the pungent fumes of cow manure just sucker punches your nostrils, and it's horrible. You're just going up and down on these hills, so
You start
the
to wonder
planes
if, like,
shift a
this
little
is
bit,
life
but it's
now.
still just going
just
down
doesn't
this
end.
road. It really was, and it got really existential. The sun starts setting, and I have 3 hours left. And I'm like, oh my God in heaven! Like I am left to my own devices out here in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Hopefully nobody from Nebraska listens to this.
And I hope someone from Nebraska listens to this so they can like move somewhere else. Because it was miserable, and that was another horrible thing. Is I look around and all those vegan documentaries you see of like the kill farms of like cows and stuff, they're everywhere in Nebraska. They're all across this like interstate.
Hey, I'm interrupting this episode to remind you guys that if there's any topics you want to hear us discuss, or you yourself are creative and want to be on our podcast, you can email us at thecreativetalk@absorbproductions.com. We're always looking to expand the topics, and we'd love talking to creatives in any industry, whether it's filmmaking, photography, or if you do anything in the creative field. We'd love to hear from you. The email again is thecreativetalk@absorbproductions.com. Now I'll let you get back to the episode.
So I got to Denver. I was exhausted. My buddy Jack and I was super thankful for him and his girlfriend for letting me stay at their apartment. We just get there, and in classic fashion, we just watch a few wrestling matches and just kind of like talk about, this wrestler did this wrestler did this. Do you see the results of this show recently? Blah blah blah. Just like nothing, and then I just crash on their couch. Wake up next morning, end up getting lunch with actually someone went to high school with who lives in Denver, who just like texted me out of the blue, and she's like, hey, you're in Denver? You want to get breakfast? I'm like, sure, why not? That's I kicked off the morning, and I then set off for what was the total like antithesis of Nebraska, because driving through the mountains in Colorado was it was one of the most beautiful experiences I think I've ever had, and it made up for like most of the time I was
it's like that center of the country.
Like, in the,
I don't know. It seems like it's stretched way longer than it should be to get to the other side over there. So,
yeah. You're telling me.
Just fold it. Fold a crease.
Get rid of it. I think we can refund that part of the Louisiana purchase. But I'm just driving through there, and I was able to stop and get some really gorgeous pictures. The S5 has this really cool feature called the high resolution mode. So what it'll do is, since the S5's sensor has 6.5 stops of stabilization, it's a 25 megapixel sensor. What it'll do is it'll almost similar to HDR is what it sounds like, but you just fire the shutter, it takes 5 seconds, and it'll shift the sensor around and piece together a 96 megapixel image.
That's awesome.
I'm using some of them as like my phone background now. I want to use them as my computer backgrounds because like it was the images are just.
I think Sony calls it their pixel shift. I've never used
trees.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah. It really like blew me away because I ended up later that night editing a few of the photos when I got to my hotel in Utah. But that was really cool because going through Colorado, like going up and down through the mountains and seeing all the forests and everything, and then going through Utah and seeing just these beautiful rock formations. It was just interesting, and it was gorgeous. Being out there in nature, and like it's not just like in Indiana, like just cornfields or plains like in Nebraska and stuff. It's like all this different scenery that I had never seen before, because the only times I had ever been out west, the first I had been was LA or San Diego for either visiting to be like, oh, do we want to?
You
like,
flew
move
those
here?
times,
and San Diego for like a journalism.
You flew those
convention in
times,
high
didn't
school. Huh?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So I've never actually like gone through that or even been to like any of those national parks or anything. Just getting the experience of driving through them was awesome, and it was so interesting too. Like, because in Utah, there are 3 specific like mileage markers where it says there's not going to be any services for the next 41, 62, and 107 miles,
Wow.
like at each point. There's one part of like the little like video I put together myself, like while driving and stuff, that it was just kind of like fun. But I just stop in the middle of Utah. I just set up like my camera and just got myself like walking down to like gaze at the landscape. But that area, I think the coolest part is I need to like zoom in on the clip or something, but it had one bathroom there.
Oh,
but you had to
gosh.
do like a half-mile hike over to the bathroom to use it. And there was a big line there too. I'm like, I'm so lucky that I'm so glad that I don't have to like that I'm glad that I'm fine right now.
Yeah.
But it's just
Yeah.
you are so far removed from life and everything, and it was kind of, I guess, kind of surreal, and it was cool, and it was calming in a way. And that drive that day total was only 8.5 hours. So compared to the almost 14 hours I had done the day before, it felt shorter. I got to Utah. I had some great pizza that I ordered from a place on DoorDash, and I can't remember the name of it for the life of me, but it tasted better than any pizza I'd ever had. And then the next day, I just got in my car and I drove straight to LA.
Yep.
Checked out the hotel, got through Nevada, and went through Vegas, and pulled into LA, and it was a good time. I didn't like really record
Is
much
that video
of that last
public?
day, so it's like I put
Do you
together
have that video
I don't
out
really
yet?
know what to.
Is it public?
Huh?
Did you?
Not yet. Steven's actually like making just some like music or because I don't know what to do with it. I'm like, I feel like if I have some music or something, then I
Okay.
can know what to cut it into better. But it's just like, I don't know. It's more of like an experience, I guess, of what it's more of like a reel or like a montage, like a sizzle.
What a good time to
of
get a
what
new
this
camera.
trip was, because it literally just ends with me turning the camera from like California desert or whatever to me and just being like, we're in California, and that's just how it ends, because I didn't shoot anything else. I was just so, I mean, like, kudos to Bo Burnham. It also helps when you're getting paid millions of dollars to make something by yourself. But it was like, I mean, by the third day, I'm like, I am so sick of just like recording myself, like deteriorating, and recording like this drive of like doing anything. I just want to get there, and now I'm here, and it's just like I'm glad I've done the experience. But if I ever had to do it again, I would 100% fly and ship my car, because that was they made the smart decision, 100%. I would probably do it with another person, maybe.
That sounds
Like another
miserable
person
by
in the car.
yourself.
Yeah.
That sounds
But absolutely never
miserable.
again by myself.
Yeah.
Oh
Man,
that was.
I just made a 2-hour drive by
horrible,
myself
but,
last weekend. It was,
But no, it made up for it with the scenery and getting some like really, really cool photos, and just like being able to be out there and like taking in like nature and like all these beautiful images and stuff.
Oh, Steven, aren't you jealous though? Aren't you jealous of
all the beautiful
Austin?
scenery that
For the
Austin got to see.
experience
Nah.
Yeah.
He still gets to see the photos.
Yeah, I
like,
get to see the photos. I'm good.
So
He gets
like
to reap the
I
benefits.
yeah, no, we got out here, got to LA in a few hours, and we're done. We were here. We got the apartment the following morning.
I drove for a total of like 33 hours.
So what was that
amongst,
process
Sunday
like
through
when you
Wednesday.
guys? I know you guys did like a pre-visit. You went out before to look around. So what were what steps did you guys take to? What was the process like from moving out there? Were you homeless for like a day or two or something, or what?
So, no. We got lucky, man. So like the moving to Los Angeles, okay, I'll tell our story or whatever. We'll tell our story, but like generally what you should do is come out to LA like 2 weeks before you intend on moving to sign a lease, because lease turnarounds are very fast here. It's like if you tour a place and you like it, you should be signing the lease that same day if you get approved. Like it's none of that like oh, you can sign a lease for an apartment for 4 months from now, like that doesn't really exist out here. And we learned that kind of the hard way when we were searching for all this stuff. We started our search in July, and not a single one of those places obviously were there by the time we wanted to move. But we got lucky in that at the start of September, one of the apartment community we're living in, it was Katie who found the posting, and it had all these units of like listed by availability like date, and it said one 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit is pre-leasing for October 1st, which doesn't happen. And we called them about it. And they're like, yeah, it's like we're trying to lock in a lease a month ahead of time. So we did a virtual tour or whatever. They had like a 3D model tour thing or whatever. Talked to them. They were one of the only places out here that returned our calls, answered our questions or whatever, because like landlords can be kind of rude. And they were really, really nice here. And so they were actually answering our questions, returning our calls, replying to our emails, the whole shebang. We're like, this feels kind of like the place to be, at least as a landing pad for now. And then sure enough, we passed our background check and income verification stuff. And then so we actually had the apartment secure before we moved out here, which is hard to do, but we got lucky and did that. I would say though, generally speaking, you should either plan to sign a lease 2 weeks before you intend on moving, or come out here and Airbnb for a little while until you find a place. Like just do the move first and then get it out of the way. It's like a trade-off. Then put your stuff in storage for that gap of time, the interim while you're waiting. But we got lucky, like really, really, really lucky. Yeah. And the apartment's nice. Like it's we definitely lucked out, counting our lucky stars for sure.
And the area is nice too.
We're in a very nice street, very nice area. The parking situation is not horrible, and that's the other big thing is parking is atrociously god awful, hellish out here. To park your car is like this whole culture behind it. It's like a thing, and I was like, I'm gonna not drive my car. Where do I put it?
There's literally an app we found called. There's an app called Spot Angels, which is by the same people who make Waze. That is the only purpose of the app is to be like, can you park here? When is street cleaning? Will you get a fine at like these hours and stuff? Like I've already
download Spot Angels. This is not a plug, but like it kind of is.
No. I already got a parking citation like here in LA. That's what makes me feel like this is home already. Is because I already paid a parking ticket yesterday. Is what I did because I was in Hollywood. I went to a bar with some people after set last week. And came back to a ticket like right on my windshield, and it's just one of those things where it's like you can look at as many street signs and stuff as you want, but like Spot Angels is I didn't use it just because I couldn't get it to load when I was trying to park, and I was like, I'm meeting new people, I need a network, I don't want to be late to this, like I'm gonna screw this up, so worth it for the however all the money I spent on the parking ticket.
So what are you guys currently doing now? So like, how long have you been there first? Like how long have all of you been? Okay.
2.5 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
You've been here 3 weeks. I'll be here 3 weeks tomorrow.
So did you guys have any jobs or contacts set up before you got in there? I knew you mentioned earlier a little bit, but
we like know people out here. At least for me on my end, it was just a matter of like, it was kind of an existential, I saved up a ton of money, as much money as I could, and I quit with no plan, and I just came out here. The moving plan was in place, but career-wise, no. I've done some interviews. I've been reached out to like some gigs. Today I actually met up with, through Zoom, I had met up with a production manager for some small place. I didn't even think to look. I just saw their, all the Facebook.
So is that where you guys were looking in the Facebook groups out there?
And this place, yeah, and like Indeed and stuff. Like sure, you'll find occasionally good stuff on there, so you send your stuff in, whatever. Like they're all over. I mean, it's not so much about like where to apply. It's not like a city as big as Los Angeles. There's just always going to be something to apply to.
And also, it's like what you want to do. Yeah. Like, do you want a 9 to 5, or do you want do you want to freelance like? Facebook or Staff Me Up are the two places to go to.
And so I had a meeting with a production manager today at this place. They actually, it's interesting. They do some photo stuff, but they do like 3D scanning for like they did the Met Gala and stuff. And there's a Vogue article about them, which is very interesting. It's like they had these celebrities stand in this weird space and they're like 3D scanned, and like they just do creative things on like websites and stuff. Like, like it's really interesting. And I was like, I didn't even like know much about it before the interview. And so I was just kind of like, I met up with them and I was just like, hey, they're just looking for like, like a set assistant when they're doing that, and someone to help with travel if they need it, and then someone to maybe work the studio if they need it. So I was like, I don't even know if I have the gig yet. They said they're going to call me, but I might even have something to do for them as early as early next week. So, it really is just a matter of sending someone a message, and then that's all it takes. And, but otherwise I did have a formal interview at a company out here that I'm still, they said, This was I did a test edit for them, and last week, and they said it could take less than a. Or
I've
it'll
heard
take,
about
be
test
within
edits.
a week before I hear back from them. That was on Thursday, so it's still like everything's fresh. Yeah, like everything's still kind of going on. Like I still feel like we just got here. I made sure that the money I had saved up would allow me to like live until I find work. I'd have to find work, hit the ground running. So I'm still in that phase where I'm just like sending people messages.
So is there a lot?
Feelers out and,
is it competitive and there's a lot
bit.
of opportunities, or is there just a lot of opportunities and it's kind of hit and miss on?
I mean, it can be competitive, but it really is like like you and Amy with Selena. Like Selena just here's a gig. Here's a gig, just because like you know her. Right?
Yeah, I got very lucky that Selena and someone else that we went to college with, Denver, knew this one guy who works, at Open as their like production, person. And I will plug Open. They're fantastic. They're great, like on demand, like yoga, meditation, Pilates, like thing. I think I would be like that into it, but it's really cool. And I get to do like the production side of it, of like, switching the live cameras and stuff, but also a little bit of post, because Selena got Sterling and I connected back in May because he had questions about like DaVinci Resolve. And since that's what my primary NLE has been since January, he was looking for someone to talk to about that. And everyone out here is either Premiere or Avid. Yeah. So he wanted to talk to someone about DaVinci. And so we got connected then, and we've been talking since then. So once he knew that I was like, when I was moving out here, because we kept in contact, he was like, hey, when do you get here? I'm like, I get here Wednesday. Cool. Can you come to Venice on Friday so we can talk? Absolutely. It's a lot of just like that, that follow up and just like keeping those connections. Like another thing is, I'll tell you guys after we're done recording, just because I don't want to like dox the place. But there was a big company out here that I interviewed with for like a month, and they, I didn't end up getting the job, but they told me like, hey, it's no big deal, but if you want to come see the studio, let us know. And I just followed up with them. And today I just went over to their studio, got to check it out, got to meet them all in person again and stuff. It might lead to some more work. Who knows? But it's at least like, and they even brought up too, they're like, you're the first person that like we extended this offer to that actually followed up on it. So a lot of it really is just like that follow up and just talking with people and just, being almost annoying about it. Like you got to be persistent with these people, because you need to make sure that they remember you and that they know you. But it's a lot of that word of mouth. So I'm fortunate enough to have like the part-time job like Open right now, getting to experience that and get money here in LA, which is kind of helpful. But it's another thing of like those Facebook groups. That's how I have a potential assistant camera gig that Amy's already working on, that I didn't know that she was working on, that I might be joining her on, just because I saw it on Facebook and messaged the guy. And then when I found out that was Amy knew the guy, sent a follow-up message, kept being, again, persistent or whatever, and now it's turning into something. So it's a different like culture to learn, because I feel like my experience in the Midwest was a lot of, we should like collaborate together or whatever, or we should work on this together, we should work on this, blah, blah, blah. I might need a second shooter or whatever. You're never going to hear from that person again, even if you're persistent with them. Out here, it's like the work is here. They need people to do the work, and the more they can find someone willing to do it, and also someone who can hopefully like back up like their talk and like that they will do a good job with it. Once you make it known that like, hey, I am that person or whatever, those opportunities are going to come. And that's been I think the easiest adjustment for me, is just like talking to people like that, even if it's just like basic networking. There's someone I met who like, I'm literally just playing a video game right now. It's a very fun video game, but I'm playing the video game just because they recommend it on their Instagram story. And so I can keep talking to this person about it or whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm networking through a video game. Never did I ever think in my life, when teachers and my parents were telling me that, it's rotting my brain or I'm wasting my time, blah, 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 that a video game might end up helping me get a job one day just because I'm playing it. It could be the best $16 awesome. I ever spent in my life. We don't know, but it's a totally different culture where, if someone's going to talk to you about doing something, 9 times out of 10, I feel like they mean it, but there's also a lot of responsibility on your end to follow up with them, to be persistent, and to make sure that, that's going to happen. And that's also how you're going to, I think, anywhere find, who the people you want to work with, or become the person that someone's going to want to work with is going to work anyways.
Yeah, so kind of wrapping this up here. So I know you guys have only been out there for about 3 weeks, but do you both have like end goals in mind? Like, what do you want to be out in LA?
I am, doing film scoring and writing music for film and stuff. I'm still. It's like I had mentioned earlier. Like so much of my life revolved around music. It's only recent to me to kind of merge that with my, knowledge of post production and film and everything.
Mhm.
I definitely want to be in post for sure. I like occasionally I might pick up some PA gigs or whatever, but I definitely want to be in post and kind of do all that sort of stuff. I enjoy editing. I like sitting in a computer all day and putting all the pieces
I'm the
together. I don't
opposite.
know. I'm a freak. I don't know why. But my main thing right now is actually scoring and writing music. I scored a documentary for a friend of ours. Shameless plug. And I'm working on the Wonder Woman project right now for a friend of ours. Does a cosplay video every Halloween, and I'm doing.
Yeah, James was on set for that.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It
Cool.
looks good, dude.
So
Cool. Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
those
it's
few
looking
things
good,
you
and
showed
we-
me.
Yeah, it's looking good. So I'm doing like Wonder Woman fan music essentially for that video, and I'm scoring. It's like literally open on my computer, two feet away from me right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing that. I'm trying to just kind of build my portfolio. I made the music for our D&D campaign, and I put it on my website just as like a SoundCloud playlist on my website. And I'm like, hey, check it out. Listen to the stuff I made. And I'm just kind of like saying, look at this thing. Oh, and you connected me with Evan. Eric, excuse me. No, is it Eric?
Eric, yeah,
Okay.
an audio guy that I work with at Open.
I haven't met him yet.
He's just does music production. So
Yeah, he sent me an email, so we're gonna grab coffee at some point this week, and I guess he does a lot of like music recording stuff, and it's just like again, want to talk to this guy? Yeah, okay, cool. That's just kind of how it,
well, that's how we met like all those really really cool people.
Yeah.
Like someone I worked with on a shoot in New York when I was self-leasing there for just 2 months in 2018. Someone that I met there, I was like, oh shoot, she's out here in LA. I'll shoot her a message or whatever.
Yeah.
We got coffee. She's like, hey, there's a UFC fight on in a few days. I'll come over to my boyfriend's place. There's gonna be a bunch of people that work in the industry there. If you just want to meet them, we met a lot of really awesome
Very, very
people
cool
and just
people.
got to talk with them and stuff. Some people who worked on The Mandalorian,
Yeah.
worked on other projects and
That was
stuff.
pretty cool.
Just getting to meet, and it's just because of again like the following up or just
Like, hey, what up?
if it feels like an industry like especially out here where I don't know, and you guys can correct me if you guys haven't had this experience, but in Indianapolis, when it came to like film or freelance, it felt very competitive. A lot of it felt like a very competitive nature of I want to be more successful than you. I'm working on this, and everyone wants to be a director there. Everyone's going to be a
There's
cinematographer
also less
there.
work, so you have more people fighting over less work.
Exactly. Where here it's like it feels like
Wow.
everyone wants to help everyone in some sort of way.
It does feel
Just
like
because it's like even if it's I just like your shirt. You know what? You kind of reminds me of my buddy who has a cool shirt. Like, oh, he also does like camera work though too. Like, here, let me just like send a group message with you both in there and introduce you.
Well.
And all of a sudden you're connected with someone who you could never work with for any means, but at least like it feels like everyone's wanting to help everyone, which is really cool. And
That's awesome.
something that I want to eventually end up doing is I would like to direct my own stuff. I do want to seed and spark like a short script that I've had written. I want to do that in the spring. I want to try and actually get some funding for it and stuff. But my main goal right now for 2022 is I just want to learn as much as possible.
Mhm.
Whether I'm on set as an AC or a camera PA or a grip, or if I am just having to make my own thing, or if I'm on unpaid work or paid work, whatever it is, any ounce of knowledge that I can take in to, help myself, help others, and, just grow as a filmmaker and grow as a storyteller and just grow as a person is what I'm looking for. And I've just from the first few weeks of being here, I already feel like this weird like calmness over me of just like, I know it's going to happen because I'm here where it's going to happen. The people that I've already met in these first few weeks, I just know it's going to happen. I know it's possible. And it just I feel more optimistic about what I can do in my career and how that overlaps with what I want to do.
Well, that's awesome.
Just by being here.
Yes, I feel like you guys kind of, already beat half the battle. Just actually
doing
moving
it.
there
It's
and
inspiring
actually being
hearing
able to-
from you guys, and you guys.
That's awesome.
It's good to hear that it's
trying.
not. I mean, just listening to you guys, it doesn't sound as intimidating as the idea of it would normally be. I mean, hearing your guys' experience, Would you say that you guys are lucky so far? Or do you think this is kind of how,
Yeah.
if anyone does what you did, it would go for them?
I definitely think luck. I think it's not so much as luck, I'm sure, as it is timing, But aside from that, as far as like getting gigs or feeling comfortable out here, I really do think it's like 70% of it is being a good person, and 30% of it is knowing how to do what you need to do, right? Like I genuinely believe that like it's so much better to work with a good person who doesn't know what they're doing than to work with an a-hole that
1000%,
does know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Which is what we were talking about. Like all these people we're meeting, they seemed to like us, and it's just like rad. That's all you need, right? You just need people to like you, and then you're fine. Like the hardest part is the move. My God. I was dreading the planning, the this, the that, and I didn't even drive. And I was like, all this other stuff. And I was like, once we got out here, I was like, oh my God, I just like crashed. I was like, this is, we're done. We're here. We have the keys. This is an apartment and it's ours. Like, it's like moving here is honestly the hardest part. And finding work will always find you
awesome.
as long as you're a good human. So.
Yeah, that
just be a good
totally
person.
sums it up. Just be a good person.
Yeah,
and like I don't know, you'll get work, and it's so much of like letting go of ego and just being willing to humble yourself, and that's where the work side of it comes in. But the move by far was the hardest part.
Yeah.
Now it's just like I feel more so that I am waiting for work rather than looking for work.
It's
if that
weird.
makes sense.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, you reach out to people, you apply to places, but it does feel like you're kind of waiting for someone to be like, hey, like remember we talked like 2 weeks ago? I got
and that's comforting.
Like,
Hopefully
kind of just,
other people find
I
that
feel
more
the same
comforting
way.
too, who might be thinking about making the move.
Mm-hmm.
So do you guys have any
Hope so too.
tips or anything, like quick tips you give to someone who has already made the move and is now there? Now what? What should they do?
Ooh.
Like they made the move.
Join the Facebook groups, because I know
groups.
like Facebook's a horrible place, but also like
Yeah.
the only reason I got back on it was because of these groups, because you literally never know. I may have messaged like 20 people within the last 2 weeks, and literally only 3 of them have responded. But
It only
like
takes one.
of them's leading to a potential gig right now.
Mhm.
And you just never know. It's a lot of just that like waiting. You just got to be that persistent, annoying person. If you're in, again, it depends on what type of work you're looking for and stuff, but the work is here. And I think that's the most comforting part. And also just, I know like financially and stuff is not the smartest decision, but like if you meet someone new who like could be a connection and they're like, hey, you want to like go get dinner or like go get coffee or go get a drink or whatever. It's like, you never know what a simple like cup of coffee could lead to.
Yeah,
because just spending that like $8 for an overpriced LA cappuccino,
West Coast living.
Yeah, it could lead to going to a party that has a bunch of really cool union people that, at the very least, you met some cool people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest part, is that networking isn't just talking about work. It's not just being like, oh, I do this, and this, and I would like to do this, and this. Could you get me on a job? It's just like, I don't know, finding the people that you would want to work with. It's just like finding a friend group or finding people that you would be comfortable around, because that's really what other people
are
like
the job,
and
that's
look for and stuff.
Yeah,
exactly. That, and then the only other piece of advice I have is one that I learned from my boss Sterling, and it's I think it's more of just like a confidence boost, but it really does help, and it really helps you narrow down what you want to do. Whenever you get out here, just when someone asks you, what do? You don't say, well, I want to. You say, I am.
Yeah.
So if someone asks me like right now,
mistake. Yeah.
they're like, what do you do? I say, I direct and I work in the cam department. And because I have directed.
Yeah, that comes off totally
here,
different as a stranger. If you say, I want.
I am a director, no matter what level I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you say I want to, then you're going to sound inexperienced or something. It's just like, those simple, like the semantics of the words and like the synthesis that you're going to say.
And I'd say that that can cross over to almost any business in the way you handle people and anything. All right. Well, you guys have anything else? James, do you have anything else?
Sounds like another big, just the last thing, what I'm taking from what you guys are saying is don't be afraid to talk to people too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pretending to be confident will make other people think that you are. So
Yeah,
Very good.
yeah. Yeah, I mean like backtrack and tell another story, but like when we were working with the radio day, I mean we had a professional Steadicam op there who's working with the RE Trinity. Like he's one of the few Steadicam ops that have that or whatever. I just walked around and I just started just like I don't know, just kind of talking with them about stuff or whatever. And now I've it may not be like a connection, but like we follow each other on Instagram now. It's just it's something as small as just like acknowledging the people on set, be the person on set or be the person just in general that you would want to be around. No one wants to be around some cold person or someone who's not going to talk to other people or is too high and mighty or whatever. Be that person who's going to reach out and talk to them and just be confident and don't be an asshole. That's the I don't know. I think that's the number one rule is just the no asshole.
All right.
Rule.
Well, thank you, Austin, and thank you, Steven. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk about this experience.
Absolutely.
I would love to have you guys
Thanks
on
for having us.
more often, and maybe we can do
Yeah.
some follow-up episodes and see how things are going. And because I'm sure it's going to be a constant learning process for everyone, I think.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah.
100%. Yeah. I'm very stupid. So.
All right.
Same.